22-year-old Tara Hickey's put on 3 stone in just 1 year and her health is suffering. With adult acne, debilitating daily headaches, a bloated and painful stomach, and frequent attacks of thrush. Tara gave birth to twins 18 months ago, but quickly got back to her normal weight of 8.5 stone. However, when she moved house away from her mum's wholesome home-cooked meals, she began to live off takeaways, burgers and ice cream. And in just 1 year, she's gone from this to this.
I have stretch marks on my bingo wings here. I don't like the way I am. I haven't over the past year liked the way that I am. And I do feel very low, and my confidence is not as good as it used to be.
So, acne, frequent thrush and headaches. How can the diet doctors help?
OK, so here are Tara's photos, and we're going to start with the tongue. Oh, dear.
A little bit big. You can see that's quite puffy on the sides there, consistent with liver sluggishness. Slightly red at the tip, which would indicate she's probably a little stressed, may not be sleeping as well as she ought to. And coating at the back, there's a little thick, little gummy, suggestive of probable yeast overgrowth. This girl may well have a problem with candida or thrush.
Well, that isn't too bad, but this is a worst-case scenario, and it's really bad.
That's the worst case of yeast I've ever seen. Candida is a fungal infection that affects mucous membranes in the body. So you see it in the mouth, you see it in the rectal area, vaginal area. Many women will have had a candida infection in their vaginal area.
So this is Tara's face.
And what we're looking at here is a case of acne. Somewhere around 90% of teenagers have a problem to a greater or lesser degree with acne, and those are usually boys more than girls. This girl's obviously got a moderate problem with acne.
There's quite a bit of sort of inflammation and redness, even where there aren't spots. Now, this is a really bad case.
This is a severe case of acne vulgaris, and what you're looking at here is these white pustules all over the place, and then these blackheads, and the whole thing's raised, red, ugly. And the real problem with this sort of thing is the scarring that comes afterwards.
And here we've got Tara's abdominal area, and this really gives us an indication of her weight.
What a lot of stretch marks. I think this is a young girl, in fact, but with a lot of stretch marks, and I wonder actually whether she's post-pregnancy, this girl.
Well, her skin's very young here, but this is really quite marked, isn't it?
It's a mixed picture, isn't it?
And this is not a mixed picture.
This is not a mixed picture. This is an older person with stretch marks from a long time ago that have remained, and this is how bad it can get. This is what this can look like if you fast forward 20 years and you do nothing about these stretch marks.
The first warning signs from Tara's body are a white-coated and red-tipped tongue indicating possible thrush and stress in the body, heavily stretch-marked skin and a large belly suggesting rapid weight gain and lack of zinc. All these signs point to major problems with diet and lifestyle. Wendy's been exploring Tara's medical history and discovers she suffers from frequent attacks of thrush. 75% of women experience it at some time in their lives, but men can get it too. Symptoms include gas and bloating, a white coating on the tongue, soreness, redness and itching around the vagina or foreskin, and a thick white discharge that smells of yeast.
Now, actually, your yeast problem looks worse today. Is it active at the moment, your yeast?
Yes.
Thought it might be. The tongue is constantly changing depending on what's happening in our bodies.
Thrush is a yeast infection usually caused by an overgrowth of the fungus Candida albicans. Candida is a yeast that lives in the gut, mouth and vagina, where it normally causes no serious problems. But certain factors like antibiotics, diabetes, a high-sugar diet or the birth control pill may deplete the naturally occurring bacteria, which are useful to the body and disrupt the balance in the gut. This allows an overgrowth of yeast, which then causes problems. Next, Wendy wants to check Tara's measurements.
Moment of truth, the metabolic age. This is going to tell me how old your body is versus how old you are chronologically. Metabolic age is 50. That is actually shocking. You're 22 and your body thinks it's 50.
That is awful.
The good news is you can reverse that. Do the right diet, exercise, eat healthily, sleep well, just generally look after yourself. You can bring that metabolic age back to exactly where it should be. And you know what? Even younger if you really work at it.
Good.
All right?
Good.
Tara also suffers from daily painful headaches. The usual culprits for this are caffeine and alcohol, but not in Tara's case, as she never drinks them.
So what are you drinking all day?
Probably about half a glass to a glass of squash a day.
And that's it?
Yeah.
I strongly suspect that the reason you're getting headaches is because you're dehydrated.
There's no complicated test needed to find out if you're dehydrated. Just look at your urine.
This is yours and this is a normal. And you see there the real difference between someone who's dehydrated, has got a much darker urine, than someone who isn't. As your programme goes on, in your 3 months of being on a diet and eating healthily and drinking properly go on, I want you to watch your urine very carefully so that you see that you're moving much more towards this than this.
Okay.
Examination over, the diet doctors have now built up a full picture of 22-year-old Tara's health statistics. Body fat 38%, it should be below 25%. Lung capacity 300, she's unfit. For her age, it should be 450. But one result has Dr. Wendy worried and could have serious implications for Tara's long-term health.
Your fasting insulin levels were high. And what that tells me is that you are in a pre-diabetic stage, even now, at your young and tender age of 22 years. Now, that is serious, and I really want you to register that.
Luckily, Tara's blood sugar is normal, which means she's in an early stage of insulin resistance. But pre-diabetes is a silent health epidemic affecting an estimated 2.1 million people in the UK. Most sufferers are unaware of their condition. This is worrying, as they only have a window of 5 to 7 years to turn their health around before developing full-blown diabetes. Signs to look out for are being overweight, particularly if you have a waist circumference of 40 inches or over in a man and 35 inches or over in a woman. Raised cholesterol and high blood pressure. If you're concerned you may have pre-diabetes, also known as metabolic syndrome, visit your GP who will assess your risks.
It's a wake-up call. You carry on like this and you will be diabetic.
The worst scenario consequences of a high-sugar diet.
It's the leading cause of blindness in the Western world.
And what your skin says about your diet, the clues hidden in your photos. But first, time to meet this week's human lab rat. 1 in 6 in the UK are now overweight or obese, and far too many of us aren't aware of the effects of our appalling diets. But a healthy person will notice the results fast. Meet boxing champion Cathy Brown. She's volunteered to be a human lab rat, taking on a high-fat diet for 2 weeks to measure the effects on her body.
I train 6 days a week, and it's a mixture of running, weights, and boxing, which is on pad work, sparring, and technical sort of moving around. You've got to be focused all the time mentally. I suppose that as compared to a normal person, I'm fit. Which isn't special, I say, very fit. Everything fits around my training sessions. My training sessions come first. This is my fridge. We've got some chicken and mackerel and some corn sausages, lots of veg. Oh yeah, radishes, garlic, things of blood, millions of fruit, skim milk, lots of eggs, omega-3, borage oil, and that's about it.
Before Cathy can start the experiment, we need to get her vital statistics, so we can measure how her athlete's body changes over the next 14 days.
2 minutes.
The results show that 36-year-old Cathy is super fit with a metabolic age of just 12. Her own GP has given her the go-ahead to start the trial. Cathy doesn't know what she'll be eating for the next 2 weeks. She's about to find out.
I'll get lost? That's outrageous behaviour. No way.
Instead of her normal diet, Cathy's going to have to eat 3 fast food meals every day and limit her steps to the national average of just 5,000 a day, the equivalent of a 30-minute walk.
I think it's outrageous. I do 20 to 25,000 steps a day. There's no way I could curb 20,000 steps off my walking.
Over the 14 days, Kathy will be consuming a whopping 38,900 calories, giving her almost 5 extra days' worth of calories over the 2-week experiment. Per day, she'll be eating 103 grams of fat, almost 30 grams over the recommended daily amount. And a massive 21 grams of salt, nearly 3 times over the recommended daily intake. She starts her challenge at the local Greasy Spoon with a full English breakfast, containing 1,100 calories and 54 grams of fat. By the end of the day, she's starting to see the side effects.
Okay, this is my stomach. This is my first day. That was my stomach. I feel sick, actually. I don't feel really well at all. It seemed like quite good fun earlier when I was having sausages and bacon and fried eggs. Oh, it actually makes me feel like sick. I actually feel long on my first day. Great. Really looking forward to the next 13 days.
The high levels of fat and sugar in the takeaways is feeding the natural yeast in her gut, producing gas which is causing her swelling and discomfort. On the second day of the experiment, she starts her day with a chicken royale from Burger King containing 574 calories and 32 grams of fat.
I'm going to scrape the mayonnaise off because it looks awful.
2 hours later, she makes a discovery.
Look at that, baby. That is nasty. That is my first spot there. It's a big baby. God, can you imagine if I was like this after the second day? I'm going to be awful after 2 weeks. Slightly worrying, I think.
Kathy normally has clear skin, but a diet of fast food starves the skin of essential nutrients. These help the skin renew itself and fight free radicals that cause aging and leave the skin prone to outbreaks. After only a day and a half, Kathy's suffering from wind and spotty skin. But these are only the start of her problems, and later we'll see how her body begins to fight back.
I've literally just got out of bed because I've been vomiting all day.
Time now for the diet doctors to examine your photos. Tonight, they're looking at skin.
I want to start with this one, Vicky, because this is a cold sore. Now, 20% of people are actually affected by cold sores in this country, and this is caused by a virus, the herpes simplex virus, exacerbated or brought on by periods of stress or sunshine or eating the wrong diet, right?
That's absolutely right. So a diet high in arginine foods, which is found primarily in peanuts, cashews and some almonds, is obviously going to exacerbate this problem. You know, Wendy, I'm particularly struck by how many red faces we've got here.
Oh, there.
I mean, this one in particular is livid.
Well, that is actually quite a bad case of rosacea, in fact. Now, rosacea affects something up to 10% of the population and is more predominant in women than men, and tends to start in the early to mid-20s going on to the mid-40s. And this girl's got quite a bad case of rosacea, not only affecting her chin area, but it's also affecting her cheeks and forehead. And you can see these tiny little eruptions or spots all over the place.
Well, I think the most important thing is that you can change this dramatically with diet. So you have to cut out the acid-forming foods, the citrus fruits, alcohol, coffee and tea, any caffeinated products, chocolate as well, must go, and particularly spicy foods, so curries have to go. And good news is, obviously, you can greatly, greatly improve it through those changes.
I think the other thing is that she's obviously overweight, this girl, and as we know, rosacea gets a lot worse if you tend to be overweight, so she needs to lose some weight, and that'll make a big difference. You've got a male here, which is, rosacea is less common in men, but when they do get it, they tend to get it worse than females. And you can see the starting of a typical thing for a man with a rosacea, which is this sort of Father Christmas nose, actually.
Found particularly in men who are drinking too much, would you not say?
I would indeed. Well, this is Rosacea, probably, although the other thing this could be is, in fact, SLE, or systemic lupus erythematosus. And that is actually a condition that can give you this sort of butterfly rash on the face and can actually affect most of the organs in your body. So I'm not actually sure, without knowing more about this lady's health, whether this is in fact rosacea, which it could be, or whether it's something more significant like SLE. I think this one, Vicky, because this is such a common problem. This is a sebaceous cyst, and the thing is, most people are tempted to take something like that and just give it a good squeeze. The problem with doing that is it doesn't get rid of it. No. And the reason it doesn't get rid of it is because sebaceous cysts are actually a cyst, and that means they're a sac filled with this sort of cheesy material sitting underneath the skin and causing a lump, and then with a block pore on the top of it. So if you squeeze it, you may get rid of the blackhead and you may get some of that horrible cheesy stuff out of it. But what you won't do is get rid of the sac that actually makes up the cyst. So the only way to get rid of sebaceous cysts is in fact to have them surgically removed. Well, I've got to say that I'm drawn to this one, Vicky.
Definitely, because this is the spottiest face there.
It is, isn't it? This girl's got quite marked acne all the way around her chin and upper lip area, with blackheads, whiteheads, and a hint of moustache. This leads me to think that she might have the condition of polycystic ovaries. Polycystic ovaries is a condition in which, associated with multiple cysts actually on the surface of the ovary, women grow excess body hair, not just on the face but other parts of the body. They also suffer from acne, and they also often have weight problems, not to mention problems with fertility.
But I think if this is a case of polycystic ovary syndrome, then the important dietary recommendations are to balance the blood sugar levels. And we do this by combining proteins with carbohydrates at every meal to slow down the process of digestion and absorption. And in doing so, we've got to look at the saturated fat content in the diet and take that way down. So take out the fried foods, reduce the amount of red meat in the diet.
22-year-old Tara Hickey has put on 3 stone in just 12 months. Her poor diet and lifestyle has left her with painful daily headaches, rapidly spreading stretch marks and frequent attacks of thrush. At the clinic, Vicky and Wendy know that eating a balanced diet is the best foundation for good health. Time now to confront Tara's fast food fixation.
OK, Tara, what we've done here is we've put all your food consumption for 1 week on this table. And here we've got the red section, which are the absolute no-no foods, high in fat, low in nutrients, and we barely could get it into the red section. OK, it's spilling over. What horrifies me is that everything is sort of monotone. Everything is one colour and it's fatty yellow. Amber section here, better, but could have room for improvement. So we've got a little bit of lettuce, a little bit of salads in your sandwiches, small amount of cheese, and then over in the green section, which is your good foods for the week, at least here we've managed to get a brown roll with some chicken and some salad. And a couple of bananas. A couple of bananas when the government recommendation is 5 pieces of fruit and vegetables a day. Where are your vegetables?
Over 90% of Tara's diet is takeaway food. Her most frequent choice is a burger meal, which she eats at least 5 times a week, and sometimes up to twice a day, consisting of burger, fries, cola and ice cream. Vicky and Wendy are horrified.
In one of these burger meals alone, there is 55 grams of sugar. Never mind the fat, 55 grams of sugar. And this is what 55 grams of sugar looks like.
Sugar feeds yeast. And it doesn't help the acne either. It doesn't cause the acne, but it certainly doesn't help it. So very easily and very clearly we can see where some of your medical problems have come from just by looking at what you're eating.
Yeah.
Tara's been keeping a food diary. To monitor her activity level, she wears an interactive pedometer. The results are shocking. She consumes 18,700 calories per week, but is only burning off 870. For a 22-year-old, her activity level is truly appalling, sometimes doing as little as 560 steps in a whole day.
In a week, you're actually eating 5 extra days of food in a week.
You're joking.
No.
Just to maintain the weight as you are, like that, if you were to carry on eating like this, you'd have to swim for 17 hours and 15 minutes a week. And that wouldn't even be to lose the weight.
You're joking.
No, I'm not joking.
My goodness.
Tara's diet is also aggravating one of her main conditions, thrush. Using a special camera, Wendy wants Tara to see what's going on inside the body.
What you've got here is yeast clinging to the walls of the digestive tract, and you've got all these white areas, and if you've got a very bad case of yeast, it can stop absorption of your nutrients. And what people don't realise is very often when they're getting recurrent vaginal infections of yeast, that they actually have a problem that's going on in the large intestine. But the reason for most people that it's a problem is because it creates bloating and gas in the stomach. And the other thing it creates is it displaces or pushes out the good bacteria. And the good bacteria is so important for you to make your vitamins in your body that when they're getting pushed out by the yeast, you're obviously not as healthy as you ought to be. Not to mention all that itching that you get that goes with it, right?
Thrush is easily treated using pessaries or creams, but there are also important dietary changes that can help the condition. Avoid sugar, bread, wine and beer, eat natural sugar-free yogurt, and take the supplement acidophilus to replace good bowel bacteria. Next, they tackle motivation.
You've put on more than 3 stone in the last year, which certainly has horrified us, and I know it must have horrified you.
Definitely.
I want you to get an idea of what 3+ stone looks like. This is 3 stone of pig fat.
It's horrible. It is a big shock that all of that is excess weight on my body.
Yeah.
I'm speechless. I don't know what to say.
Just try and pick up that tray, because that's only half of it. See how you go?
That is heavy.
This is fat, remember?
Yeah.
Okay, this isn't muscle weight, it's not extra body, bone weight. This is sitting on your body.
I need to do something about it.
We want you to end up looking like you used to look.
To tackle all her medical problems, the diet doctors have designed a detailed eating plan for Tara. To deal with her pre-diabetes, thrush, headaches and spotty skin, she must eat a healthy, low glycemic index diet with plenty of complex carbohydrates, protein and good fat, fresh vegetables, nuts, whole grains and fruit.
And as you take the right fats, that will help balance your hormones, which will be so beneficial for the skin.
Fantastic.
Tara's thrush will also be treated with the prescription drug nystatin, which kills off the yeast in the digestive tract. She'll be taking supplements: aloe vera to help her bowels, glutamine to control her cravings, zinc, starflower oil and omega-3 fish oil to improve her skin, and most importantly, exercise. Tara must do 10,000 steps every day. After the break, Tara's motivation doesn't last long.
At the moment I'm at breaking point. I don't really want to carry on with this show.
Can Vicky come up with a recipe that Tara will eat? And how did our boxing champion's body change after 2 weeks of fast food?
That's disgusting.
Coming up, the diet doctors get tough with Tara.
This is your time, and you're either going to use your time or you're not.
Diet pills, one woman's quick fix cure that has left her fatter than ever, and the shocking results of this boxer's fast food experiment.
I'm not going to survive the rest of the week if I don't take anything to make me go to the toilet.
But first, time to catch up with tonight's case study. Junk food addict Tara has adopted the diet doctor's health rescue plan in an attempt to get rid of all her medical problems. After 1 week, Tara's already struggling.
I really crave chocolate. I really want chocolate.
And after only 5 days on her new diet, she's fallen off the wagon.
I ate Big Mac and fries last night.
Vicky and Wendy are straight on the phone.
Now, what happened last night?
Well, I basically had a bit of a slip up and ended up eating a Big Mac meal.
Look how easily, just after 1 week, you slipped into this sort of, oh, well, you know, whatever, go and get it. Old habits die hard, and this is one you are just going to have to knock on the head.
I'm worried about the Big Mac, but I'm even more worried about the steps.
Okay, not enough.
Not enough, because do you remember we said it needed to be 10,000 steps a day? Some of those days you were only doing 2,000 steps. I mean, it's not like, you were getting consistently 8,000 steps and just missing. You were actually quite consistently not doing less than 5,000 steps. So, I do realise it's difficult when you've got young children, but I think this is your time, and you're either going to use your time or you're not.
Tara used to eat on average 9 burgers a week, and it's proving hard for her to give up her fast food. So the diet doctor's first strategy is to show her how to make healthy burgers.
I thought I would show you a lower fat burger, which is made from minced turkey. I always say you've got to have a rainbow of colours of vegetables on your plate, and this is a great way of putting them into the meat without having to have loads of vegetables on the side.
Turkey contains the amino acid tryptophan, good for relieving stress, and zinc, important for healthy skin. To the turkey, Vicky adds vegetables. Onions, rich in chromium, a mineral that helps cells respond to insulin, carrots, high in beta-carotene, a powerful antioxidant, and courgette, low in calories and full of potassium.
Now you always need an egg to bind a burger if you want to keep it in good shape. And to bind this all together, I've got some maize flour, or polenta as it's known in Italy. And this is much more of a whole grain than refined white wheat flour. We are going to make 2 burgers and shape it out into a burger. Good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice.
So let's pop them on that plate.
The healthy burgers should be grilled until cooked, then wrapped in an iceberg lettuce leaf in place of a burger bun.
You wrap your lettuce leaf over. There you go. Lovely, good?
That's lovely.
Very nice.
To keep Tara motivated, she's also been given a personal trainer. Exercise is vital in any weight loss plan, and most importantly, working out will improve her mood. But over the next few weeks, Tara's still not doing her steps and is disappointed she hasn't lost any more weight.
Not as impressed as I hoped to be. I've actually put on a pound.
But she's not sticking to the exercise plan either.
I need to exercise more and try and keep up those 10,000 steps a day, which has become a problem as I'm not doing that.
So 1 month in, the diet doctors try a new strategy, employing shock tactics to force her to face up to her main condition, pre-diabetes.
This is a gland that's sitting behind the curve of your stomach. The pancreas is extremely important for insulin production. And insulin is responsible for regulating your blood sugar in the body.
Using bags of saline solution, Wendy and Vicky demonstrate to Tara how insulin regulates her blood sugar.
When you eat a biscuit, your blood sugar goes up, rapidly up in fact. The body responds by pushing out a lot of insulin to bring that blood sugar down again, because it's very important for the blood sugar to be maintained within a narrow range. Now, in your particular case, what's happening is, because your body is not responding well to insulin, every time you're putting your blood sugar up, you're having to release twice as much, if not more, to bring your blood sugar down. And what's happening is this poor gland here is having to work overtime to produce all that insulin. The pre-diabetic phase can go on for a number of years, but we know that that is no longer than 7 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Using a pig's eyeball, the diet doctors hope to make Tara register the serious implications of her lifestyle.
What Vicky's demonstrating here is a process that's going on in many diabetics' eyes. What happens is they make new blood vessels. These are relatively weak and they can rupture, and that's when you can potentially go blind. It's a process called diabetic retinopathy, and it's the leading cause of blindness in the Western world.
This is my biggest fear, and that's one of the main reasons why I have always taken care of my diet. This isn't worth any number of sweets, cakes, biscuits, chocolate, or ice cream.
To help control her blood sugar, Tara will take the prescription drug metformin. It increases the body's sensitivity to insulin. Once she's finished her detox, she'll start to see improvement in the condition of her skin. However, her acne scars will not clear up through diet alone. So to keep her motivated, Wendy and Vicky want to send her for a course of microdermabrasion. This non-invasive skin resurfacing technique cleans the skin's pores and stimulates new collagen growth. Crystals are directed at the skin and removed by a vacuum process. The treatment is gradual and progressive with each session.
My skin feels nice and smooth now, and I haven't felt this smooth in years, since I was a baby. I am looking forward to the end result.
But even with renewed motivation, over the next few weeks, Tara continues to struggle to lose weight.
I'm not very happy with the way things are going at the moment. My weight is still fluctuating. At the moment I'm at breaking point. I don't really want to carry on with this show.
Later we'll see if the diet doctors can get her back on track. With 1 in 4 adults in the UK on a diet most of the time, we'd all love a quick fix to help shed pounds, and so-called miracle weight loss tablets can appear very tempting. But what are the dangers, and do they work long-term? There are currently 3 anti-obesity drugs available on prescription. Reductil. It makes you feel fuller quicker, but side effects can include insomnia, constipation, and an increase in blood pressure. In trials, almost a quarter of patients failed to achieve enough weight loss to benefit their health. Rimonabant, a drug which has only just been licensed. Potential side effects include nausea and upper respiratory tract infection. And Xenical, a drug which reduces the amount of fat absorbed by the small intestine. Unpleasant side effects can include diarrhea, oily stools, and even incontinence. Patients who take Xenical are half as likely to put weight back on as people following a low-fat diet. But for 31-year-old Val Sutton from Bristol, that wasn't the case.
I was desperate and was willing to try anything.
Val took the diet pill for 2 years, and over that time she lost a staggering 5 stone, plummeting from a dress size 24 to a trim 12. But she paid a terrible price.
On a few occasions I did overeat too much fat, and I did have, as described before, the chronic diarrhoea, which I couldn't control. And unfortunately, couldn't control it, and it did happen in public. But it was something I had to deal with at the time. I was out shopping with friends. I had the urge that I needed to go to the toilet, but then before I knew it, it'd come out, and there was nothing I could do about it. So basically, I had to get someone to take me to the toilet, to clean myself up, and then go home, cancel the shopping trip. It's very, very noticeable it's happened because it's very, very smelly, as you would imagine, and it's very oily based. So basically, it couldn't be hidden. There was nothing I could do about it. I was more humiliated more than anything.
But there were other, more terrifying consequences.
Hallucinations. On night time, when I used to go to bed, I'd hallucinate my worst fear, which was spiders, like crawling all over me, and wake up, bolt upright, whacking myself, flicking every light on in the house, and come running downstairs, just sit here like quivering, just thinking, you know, I've got to go back upstairs and there's spiders up there. So I'd sit here for about a good half hour before I can even adventure going upstairs. And I'd used to walk upstairs and just poke at the covers, lift the covers up, pull them off. And of course there'd be nothing there because there never were, you know, it was all in my mind. It was my mind playing tricks on me.
Over a 2-year period, Val experienced these horrifying hallucinations 3 to 4 times a week. Although Val remains convinced that the diet pills caused her hallucinations, the manufacturers say this is not a reported side effect of their drug. The diet pills helped Val lose a significant amount of weight but didn't change her eating patterns.
As soon as I stopped taking those diet pills, the weight crept on and on and on until finally I put it all back on. Diet pills really did ruin my life, I think.
In certain circumstances under medical supervision, anti-obesity drugs can be useful, but they should never be considered a quick fix. A healthy diet and exercise are the only ways to maintain long-term weight loss. Champion boxer Cathy Brown has agreed to become a human lab rat. She's eating 3 fast food meals a day so we can measure the effects on her body.
I feel sick.
Over the past 7 days, Cathy's eaten 8 burgers, 15 portions of chips, 4 curries, 3 fry-ups and 7 bacon butties. And her body is suffering.
One, I'm not going to the toilet at all, and I'm bloody uncomfortable with wind. I'm going to take some laxatives this evening.
I'm uncomfortable, I'm not sleeping, we're not supposed to do it, but at the end, I'm not going to survive the rest of the week if I don't take anything to make me go to the toilet.
It's no surprise she's constipated. Fast food is high in fats and low in fibre, causing waste to move too slowly through the colon, resulting in hard, dry stools which are difficult to pass. It's now day 9, and since Kathy took her laxatives, her insides have started moving. The only problem is they're now travelling in the wrong direction.
I've literally just got out of bed because I've been vomiting all day. That's how I feel. I'm going to try. I haven't eaten today, so I can't report on any food that I've eaten today. However, I'm going to try and organise a takeaway. At least my stomach's flat now, though. I vomited it all up. Diarrhea, everything's great.
It's the final day of the experiment, and for her last supper, Kathy's having a fish cake, chips and gravy containing 476 calories and 19 grams of fat.
I'm still regurgitating how beautiful is that fish and chips. Feeling blooming lazy. At the moment, can't bother to do anything. Trying to get a bit of motivation to do something. You know, in the evening times, my friends said, should we go for a drink? And I was like, I just want to go home. And I haven't even done anything, really.
Over the 2 weeks, Kathy experienced constipation, vomiting, bloating, diarrhea, lethargy, breathlessness and spots. So those are the symptoms, but what's the diet done to her measurements? She retook her medical tests and it's back to the clinic, where the diet doctors are waiting to reveal her results.
Did you find that this had an effect on your mental state?
Oh, God, yeah. I'd go from being really crazy-minded and being really jovial and really loud to really quiet and lethargic, can't bother to talk to anyone, to losing my temper about the most stupid of things. I become really intolerant. And I called it fast food rage, which is another story.
Fast food rage, I like that.
And I was in the queue waiting for my burger one day, and some woman pushed it in front of me. And I was just like, excuse me, there's a queue, and she said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. And my response was, well, you're either stupid or just blind. And I was like, oh, I'm turning into a fast food rage person. And he's just like, oh my God, just get out, quick.
You've suffered from an awful lot of symptoms during this challenge, haven't you? And I'm sure you were a bit surprised at how many things you suffered from.
Yeah.
I'm just going to add to that list now and tell you what happened to your body during this
You're
challenge.
definitely not going to make me sleep now. I'm just going to go home and just not sleep tonight. More pills.
So your blood pressure went up.
Really? By how much?
Well, it went up from 104/62 to 117/68.
That's quite a bit.
It is.
In 2 weeks.
It is. In 2 weeks, that's quite a shift. And I suspect that's a combination of the high salt diet and the lack of exercise. In just those 2 weeks, your metabolic age went from age 12 to age 19.
That's disgusting. Can you imagine if you're on that for years?
Yeah. Think about it. And alongside that, your body fat went up 5%.
That hurts. It's hard enough as it is just to burn off the fat, but...
And I know where that's accumulating. And it's not just actually round your tummy, in fact, because you put on 1.5 inches round your stomach.
That's awful.
But you've actually put on a staggering 3 inches round your hips.
3 inches on my hips?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Congratulations on completing this. I mean, not an easy thing to do.
It's now 2 weeks since Kathy stopped eating fast food. She's shed the pounds and is back in the ring working out as usual. To find out more about Kathy's challenge or any other information you've seen in tonight's programme, log on to 5.tv/Diet Doctors. Coming up, 6 weeks ago, Tara reached breaking point.
I don't really want to carry on with this show.
Did she carry on with the diet? Her results after the break. Months ago, Tara was diagnosed as pre-diabetic. Has her new diet reversed this state?
This was her tongue at the beginning.
And I remember when we looked at that tongue, what we were struck by was this coating, which suggests she has a yeast problem. And clearly stress with a red tip there.
Well, let's look at what her tongue's like now.
You know, the immediate thing, Vicky, I'm struck by there is the difference in the size of the tongue. This is a much smaller tongue than that tongue, which means that her digestion has improved.
Absolutely.
Also, the coating is much less pronounced in this tongue, so if her yeast problem hasn't gone altogether, it's certainly resolved itself considerably.
Okay, now this was Tara's skin on her face.
And what we talked about there was how red it was, how many breakouts she had or spots she had, and also how much scarring she's got on the skin.
Absolutely. Now this is nothing short of a miracle.
Oh, that's fantastic. Much less breakouts there. I mean, you can see there's just 1 or 2 there compared to easily you can see 10 even on this small photo of her. You know, Vicky, she must have really cleaned up her diet on this because her skin is just so much more healthy. It's glowing.
Absolutely. Well, this was her stomach or waistline or lack of.
You know, I'm staring at that photo because I just can't believe and remember how bad it was.
Hideous. And this is a 22-year-old girl.
Yeah, I feel sorry for her because this really looks like a middle-aged woman. This is a fat stomach and you can really see that here, and it's also going up into the chest region here.
Now this is her now.
Now that's what she ought to look like at 22.
Absolutely. It's fabulous. She's got a waistline. She's lost that back fat, as it were.
Yeah.
And even the stretch marks look less prominent.
Well, you know, she's been having a lot of zinc, and you can't get rid of stretch marks, but you can make them much less prominent.
Well, this is a fantastic improvement. I can't wait to see her. You look fantastic, Tara. Look at you. Welcome.
Thank you.
You look great. I'm almost speechless because you actually look back to the age you really ought to look like.
You've lost weight, you've got a waist, you look fabulous.
I'm just struck by actually how glowing her skin is, aren't you?
It's fabulous.
Well, come and sit down because we want to get a few measurements on you.
Okay.
Her metabolic age has gone down from 50 to 34. She's lost 20 inches in total from all over her body. And she's dropped 1 stone, 1 pound.
I'm actually a little disappointed.
Oh.
And I'm a little disappointed because I know that if you'd been on it, you probably could have done better than that.
Okay.
I mean, we've looked back at the number of days that you've actually achieved 10,000 steps, and we found out that actually only 25% of the time you actually got to the 10,000 mark. But you look so well that I can't be totally disappointed.
3 months ago, Tara was diagnosed with pre-diabetes.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. It's rare to see a 22-year-old pre-diabetic like this. I've got good news for you.
Okay, good.
You've gone out of the pre-diabetic range.
Oh my God, in 3 months. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's, I don't know what to say. That's fantastic.
You've gone from having a fasting insulin of over 19 to now having one at 9.
Oh my God.
With normal fasting glucose and insulin levels, Tara's made significant improvements in just 3 months. She's lost weight, her greasy, spotty skin is now glowing and healthy, she hasn't had a single attack of thrush in 10 weeks, and best of all, she's no longer pre-diabetic.
I'm so happy with the achievements. I just want to carry on doing this, but my skin, I feel healthy, I feel great.